so that their common life has necessarily arisen. Now, in the other animals this intercourse is not based on reason, but depends on the amount of natural instinct which they possess, and is entirely for the purpose of procreation. But in the civilized and more intelligent animals the bond of unity is more perfect, for in them we see more mutual help and goodwill and cooperation. Above all, in the case of man, because the female and the male cooperate to ensure not merely existence, but a good life. And the production of children is not only a way of serving nature, but also of securing a real advantage. For the trouble which parents bestow upon their helpless children when they are themselves vigorous is repaid to them in old age when they are helpless by their children, who are then in their full vigor. At the same time also, nature thus periodically provides for the perpetuation of mankind as a species, since she cannot do so individually. Thus the nature both of the man and of the woman has been preordained by the will of heaven to live a common life, for they are distinguished in that the powers which they possess are not applicable to purposes in all cases identical, but in some respects their functions are opposed to one another, though they all tend to the same end. For nature has made the one sex stronger, the other weaker, that the latter, through fear, may be the more cautious, while the former, by its courage, is better able to ward off attacks, and that the one may acquire possessions outside the house, the other preserve those within. In the performance of work, she made one sex able to lead a sedentary life, and not strong enough to endure exposure, the other less adapted for quiet pursuits, but well constituted for outdoor activities, and in relation to offspring she has made both share in the procreation of children, but each render its peculiar service towards them, the woman by nurturing, the man by educating them. Chapter 4. First, then, there are certain laws to be observed towards a wife, including the avoidance of doing her any wrong, for thus a man is less likely himself to be wronged. This is inculcated by the general law, as the Pythagoreans say, that one least of all should injure a wife as being a suppliant and seated at the hearth. Now, wrong inflicted by a husband is the formation of connections outside his own house. As regards sexual intercourse, a man ought not to accustom himself not to need it at all, nor to be unable to rest when it is lacking, but so as to be content with or without it. The saying of Hesiod is a good one: a man should marry a maiden, that habits discreet he may teach her. For dissimilarity of habits tends more than anything to destroy affection. As regards adornment, husband and wife ought not to approach one another with false affection in their person any more than in their manners. For if the society of husband and wife requires such embellishment, it is no better than play acting on the tragic stage. Chapter 5. Of possessions, that which is the best and the worthiest subject of economics comes first, and is most essential, I mean man. It is necessary, therefore, first to provide oneself with good slaves. Now, slaves are of two kinds, the overseer and the worker. And since we see that methods of education produce a certain character in the young, it is necessary, when one has procured slaves, to bring up carefully those to whom the higher duties are to be entrusted. The intercourse of a master with his slaves should be such as not either to allow them to be insolent or to irritate them. To the higher class of slaves he ought to give some share of honor, and to the workers abundance of nourishment. And since the drinking of wine makes even free men insolent, and many nations, even of free men, abstain therefrom, the Carthaginians, for instance, when they are on military service, it is clear that wine ought never to be given to slaves, or at any rate very seldom. Three things make up the life of a slave: work, punishment, and food. To give them food, but no punishment, and no work, makes them insolent, and that they should have work and punishment, but no food, is tyrannical, and destroys their efficiency. It remains, therefore, to give them work and sufficient food, for it is impossible to rule over slaves without offering rewards, and a slave's reward